I've finally found a way, I think, to take advantage of what I think is a very bearish situation with the Dow transports. And as always, we're at a lifetime high, but I remain completely short, and it's doing pretty good, to tell you the truth. We're going to thumb through my positions at the end. But the spider has pushed a little bit above its midline there. As I say, a lifetime high. It's just Nvidia, continuing to propel things higher. It is a thinner and thinner group of stocks that are doing all the heavy lifting. Nominally, the indexes are just lurching to lifetime highs pretty much every day. One of the more bearish setups, though, as I've been mentioning, is the transports. It's a very cool flippity doodah here because we had this enormous bullish pattern, which was getting close to a kind of an epic generational breakout, but it failed. It stopped doing that. It did not exceed this blue tint I've drawn, and instead, more recently, this pink tint here has been carving out this top. And I've looked at all 20 of the Dow transport components, and I've definitely got a favorite. So like I said, we're going to look at that. It's not this one, but it's not bad. This is UPS, United Parcel Service, which, as you can see, has been forming its own top for a good, wow, like almost 4 years. This is like a 44, 45 month. It's looking quite prone to basically slipping below that and pushing a lot lower, almost certainly down to this green line that I've drawn. There's a pretty thick level supply down here to hold things up, but this is an extraordinarily vulnerable looking stock, UPS. We have to pay homage every day to the semiconductors because they just keep zipping. ARM Holdings is doing great. They're up almost 8%, another lifetime high on this. We have gone in short order from about a $50 stock around last Halloween to something that is over 3 times that price right now. And there's really nothing bearish about this chart at all. It's just lifetime highs and has been in a kind of unrepentant lift ever since April 12. You can see they're just almost every day lurching higher. Micron, also a very good looking chart, although it's getting at least in the same zip code as some resistance. This red line here, it's not quite there yet. You can see here that for years and years, it's been engaged in this broad series of higher lows and higher highs, which is the very essence of an uptrend. There we have it, another gap higher today on MU. Of course, everybody's favorite stock, Nvidia, is up again to another lifetime high. And we zoom in on this. And in this instance, this channel's been in place for about 10 months now. Actually, I beg your pardon, more than 10 months, ever since August 2022. So more like 22 months, steady series of higher lows, higher highs. And as far as this channel goes, still some wiggle room between the present prices and the top of that channel. So it could just keep doing this for weeks, really. SMH, which is being dragged along by Nvidia, has pushed above its own resistance line. It's back inside its own channel. That is just how powerful this rally has been. We've gone from April 19th, around 200 to about 36% higher than that in just the span of a few months. So this has been just an extraordinary run. With all of that, the cubes at the moment are up 0, basically. We look here at the cube ETF, as you can see, unchanged. Yesterday's peak was a little bit higher than today's. A little bit weary here, even with all the help from semiconductors. You know, the likes of, say, Apple, I think, aren't helping. It's down a little bit. But on the whole, things very well intact for all the tech bulls out there. What else is cooking? Just as apropos of nothing, I just wanted to mention Vail Resorts, just because it's a really good looking pattern to it. This is MTN, like mountain, Vail Resorts. Very good looking right triangle pattern here. And I would say extremely strong resistance up at this gap, 189, or is it 169.37, excuse me. Yes, but there's the dashed line. And it's not so much, let's just fine tune this a little bit. The gap is a little higher than that. I've actually anchored it to this low, but you can see this is the base of the triangle, and here's the descending trend line. We've broken it with some gusto there. So if we want to be really picky about this, let's just tune this a little bit to that gap. It'll be a bit more of a generous stop loss on that. So more like 191.92 on that. Some stocks just continue to be superheroes. They just, there's no stopping them, it seems. I call these permarisers. There's a bunch of them. Three that jumped out today. Costco. This, of course, we all know Costco, and we've got a lifetime high on this. The P's on this are pretty extraordinary. 53. I've been trading a long time, and it wasn't that long ago that a PE of 53 would honestly be like a small biotech company. Something very speculative, big risk, big reward, not a place that sells giant vats of mayonnaise, but it's a very successful company nonetheless. And so they apparently have merited a PE of 53. So that's Costco, lifetime high, and even above this lifetime price channel. It has just shrugged off resistance on that. Chipotle, lifetime high. This is Bill Ackman's supercharged company here, the core, kind of a foundational to his portfolio. But they too have they're selling, rice bowls and burritos, and they have a PE of 71.7. Quite extraordinary what people are spending for earnings growth here. And just one last one, Eli Lilly, lifetime high on this one as well, 130 on the PE. I didn't look at these in advance. I just assumed they'd be on the high side. But yeah, you can just see just the really eye-popping valuations here. Briefly, just want to say crypto continues to be pretty sick. It's basically spent an entire quarter doing nothing. It peaked way back in mid-March. There was this all this tumult about the halvening, and the supposition and the suggestion was, boy, oh boy, just wait till the halvening happens, then it's really going to catch fire. No, it's done nothing of the sort. And the argument, because I've done this long enough to know, you don't really want to, it's easier to talk about religion and politics. You're on safer ground than daring to say anything that's not positive about crypto, because they are zealots. If you say, well, it's down $10,000 over the past 3 months, it's just kind of sitting there, say, well, it's, it's gone up 8 million% since it was launched. Well, that's fine. And if you give me a time machine, we can exploit that, but that's immaterial now. So I don't care about that was a penny at one point. It's not anymore. And the altcoins as well, they got caught up in the kind of renewed crypto fever, and those gains are all gone now. You look at just about all the altcoins, 60, 70, 80% of those gains just have evaporated. So kind of the blue chip among these Bitcoin, it's hanging in there, and around 64,000, but really just the fervor is definitely gone for the moment. Let's look at these bearish positions. We had very little time yesterday. We got a few minutes today to thumb through them. Alphabetical order. AMD continues to be a favorite of mine. The old saying about buy the worst house in the best neighborhood you can afford. This is kind of turning that on its head. I basically wanted the worst performing semiconductor company in what is obviously a spectacular sector here. And, Intel stinks so bad I didn't even bother, but AMD I really have found appealing. And it's so far so good, because keep in mind, AMD is down over 2.5% now on a day when SMH lifetime high, Nvidia lifetime high, ARM lifetime high, Micron lifetime high, all over the place. Something's wrong with this fella. Yay. CMA, Comerica, unchanged at the moment, but still a terrific looking long-term short, I think. Caesars, as I've mentioned before, I compose these lists hours before my show, and there are times when it can change. I actually covered this one, I didn't cover it, I sold the puts on this one early today. So this is no longer in position. It's a little too robust for my liking, so I'm out of this. Still a mildly interesting chart, but I just, as I've mentioned, there's chatter about Carl Icahn taking a big position in this, and it's just a little bit antsy about this one, so not in that anymore. I am still in the others though. Keycore, this is another one. Here's our stop loss on that one, the dashed line. Royal Caribbean Group, RCL, bouncing today, but that is okay. These are September puts. I'm looking for a failure at this trend line to really get things cooking. Starbucks, another real favorite of mine. This is down 1.54%. Beautiful top here, went plunging lower, pushed its way back, and now started to re-weaken again from those levels. Here's a fairly new one. Just got into this one, but Shopify is down nicely. It's down about 3.33%, having sunk beneath this cool reversal pattern. And this is a pretty heavily traded critter. Here was the one I was going to mention to you, United. United Airlines. I've made mention of the transports being a very bearish looking pattern. Most of the components of it, not really my bag, but this one I like a lot. We're in a symmetric triangle here, and it's got its own cute little head and shoulders like so. My stop on this one is this dashed line as well, 51.11. But what I'm looking for is a failure below this pink zone here. That would be the neckline. My target price be around about there, 41.72. So UAL, a new entry, got into that early today. And the last of these, our old friend XLU, which is down a little bit. I'm not showing it today, but one item we've talked about a lot is Next Era NEE, which finally started behaving itself and has been falling. And XLU has likewise completed its own little top here. And I've tightened up the stop on this one to this dashed line like so, 70.03. So that's kind of the whirlwind tour of bearish positions. Last thing I want to close with, with all these lifetime highs around, just doing a look at those utilities again by way of the cash index. And the diamond pattern is what we've talked about for months and months. It's still intact, but the thing that was making me a little nervous, but I'm feeling more at ease about it now, is these Fibonacci levels, like so these red lines. We had sunk down, and even as recently as yesterday, had seemed to find some support there. We have slipped below it. So I think we have broken support on that one. So that kind of does away with the concern of that acting as a barrier.